I'm starting the conversation with Piyush sir, who is a final year student of applied psychology. Thank you, sir, for giving your time. Sir, my name is Nandini Agrawal. I've come from St. Joseph's Convent School for a project in which we have to understand fear. Can you please differentiate between fear and anxiety?
Hello Nandini. That's a very good question from a person coming at this age. Yes, this is very true. Anxiety and fear, these terms are very, very closely related. So, let me explain to you this with an example, okay? So, let's say Nandini is walking at 11 p.m. In a very vacant road. So, it's night, it's dark, and she's alone. Now, if a person comes to Nandini and puts a gun onto her head, what Nandini would feel here is fear. Fear because she knows what the gun will do. The gun will kill her. So, this is fear. Fear is when you fear something which is known. Gun means death. However, in the second example, if Nandini is just walking on the street at night, but there is no one, there is no guy, there is no gun, she is just walking alone, she is feeling, uneasy in herself. If something could happen, a car could come, a bike could come, okay, gunman could come. Gunman is not here, but could come. So the object is not here, the stimulus is not present, but we are thinking in our own mind and we are becoming restless. That is anxiety. So fear is coming from something that is known. Anxiety is our own imagination of something that might or might not happen. Okay, Nandini?
Okay, sir. Sir, may I know the long term effects of being fearful or anxious?
Another good question indeed, Nandini. So, what happens when we are in a state of fear or anxiety? Our body starts to panic, our heartbeat starts to beat faster, our nervous system indeed gets exhausted because we are fearful, so our whole body gets tensed. So, this has some long term effects which are you'll feel fatigued, so you won't have a lot of energy, insomnia, which is like you won't be able to sleep at night, irritability, you'll always be emotionally reacting to people, your muscle would start aching, even depression, once you stop sleeping and are fearful all the time, you'll feel sad about life. You'll feel difficulty in concentrating because you'll be fearing things, so your half the mind would be somewhere, half the mind would be somewhere else, so difficulty in concentrating. And it could even cause digestive issues because our mind and gut is actually really interconnected. So it could also cause some digestive issues. Okay.
Okay, sir. So, how can fear affect our ability to make decisions and take risks?
Yes, let us try to understand this with another example. So in our school, when we used to be in school, we had to present a presentation or sing a poem in the class in front of people, and there was a lot of fear in doing that because it has already we've done that somehow or the other, we've been fumbled with it and people laugh at us and things like that. So decision making and taking risks, these are two things that we have to always do in life. But when we are actually a very anxious or a fearful person, this ability gets affected because of our past experiences. So every student feels fear, but if a person feels a lot of fear, then this would cause a problem. So fear inherently is not a very bad thing. It's okay to feel fear, it is only natural to feel fear. But if a person is feeling that in a higher intensity, then it's a problem. So yes, students go up on the stage and they speak, but if a person is really, really very fearful, it's panicking, filled with anxiety, then what would happen? They won't even get the chance to be on the stage. So that decision would be made by itself that no, I won't present anything in front of the class. I cannot. I'll feel a lot of fear. My heart is beating faster. Yes, heart of everyone would beat faster because you are going in front of a stage. But this decision making and taking risks is somehow connected with this in this manner. So a person who is really fearful would always feel inferior, would take his steps back even before starting. Why? Because he's already fearful, and then everything that happens just adds to that fear. And hence, they are people who make decisions which are conventional, not very risky. They know that, okay, this could happen, this could happen, this could happen. So they'll choose that option which is least risky so that they don't have to feel a lot of fear. At the same time, they will make decisions in which they can avoid fear. So life then rolls out in such a manner that you are trying to avoid fear and risks, which also reduces the ability to live life fully and in courage and with hope.
Okay, sir. Sir, as you mentioned that fear is not always a bad thing, but when it starts to affect our daily life, then it becomes difficult to deal with. Sir, can you help us understand how a student can deal with fearful situations like speaking in front of the class?
So Nandini, as we understood that fear always has a known source, some known thing through which it causes disturbance. So the gun, we know death, right? Now speaking in front of a class, if it's for the first time, then it would be anxiety because you have never done it. So you're feeling anxious. But you've done it and you might have made one or two mistakes sometime, and now you're always anxious or fearful about it. Now this can be solved in several ways, but I like to give my step-by-step approach to it. So the first thing would be practice. When we have practiced, let's say we have to recite a poetry in front of the class. If you have really practiced it very well in front of your mother, parents, and you've spoken it around, let's say 50 times already with 5 or 6 people, you'll be more confident. Why? You have practiced it really well. So when a person has practiced really well, they would feel less fear in comparison to a person who has practiced only 5 times. So the number one thing is practice. Second point is, this is a philosophical one, okay? We always are thinking of trying to impress people. Like, what would that person think? What would the teacher think? What would he think when I'm speaking in front of the class? So when this happens, when we are thinking about trying to impress someone, then we feel more anxiety, more fear, because our own image that we have presented for our whole life in front of our friends would get broken. So the ability to let go and not be affected by what people think about you, to not try to impress others, is number 2. So first was practicing sufficiently. Second was not trying to impress others. And third and most important would be being okay with making mistakes. Now we fear so much that I shouldn't make a mistake, I should be perfect. If this could happen, if I make a mistake, people would laugh at me. Somehow or the other, we are always thinking that we'll make a mistake, that things would go wrong. And yes, this is also based on past experiences where something has went wrong. But today, right now, we have to have a positive mindset that yes, firstly, we won't make a mistake, and secondly, if we do, it's fine. We learn something from it. So having a positive, optimistic outlook to life would help you deal with the fear of speaking in front of people. So the 3 points are: study well, practice well. Second, do not try to impress anyone. Be yourself. Third, be okay with making mistakes and know that mistakes won't happen, and even if they do, we'll learn something from it. So having a positive mindset.
Oh, thank you, sir. So, you deal with people who face lots of problems and you are always helping them. You might also feel fearful or anxious at times. So, how do you deal with it?
Oh, I've faced a lot of difficulty in regards to it. So, when we find people and are discussing life situations with them, it takes an emotional toll on you, because anyone who comes to you and tells you their life story, their problems, their anxieties, their fears, their pains, conflicts, traumas, when you listen to them, there is a lot of negativity. If I am to say that, it is not correct, but it's like if you watch a movie for 3 hours and then watch another for 3 hours and you watch another for 3 hours, this is called a very joyful day. But if you are listening to someone's problem in the morning, afternoon and evening, your life becomes like a problem solving statement. So you're always listening to the problems, and it's not just at that moment. So let's say a student of your class comes to me and talks to me. After they go, I am still thinking about them. So if a girl comes to me and she tells me that she is considering to commit suicide, or her life is not going well because her parents are always fighting and she is always sad. Now, we try to solve that problem, we do solve that problem, but there is still an inherent fear that what would happen. Would she be alright? Is she fine? After the session, are the things that I said, did they really go into her heart, and would she be okay? So this remains in our heart. And then sometimes students also call at 11 at night and they are crying and they are like, I'm feeling overwhelmed. And you have to actually sometimes take that call, because if you don't take that call, the other person might take up a step which could be very difficult for them, their parents and everyone. Hence, this profession actually is not an easy one. You are always more conscious, more aware, and if you are sensitive, then you feel anxiety within you also, and you feel fear that if I have talked to you and you might do something, you might harm yourself in some way. If your situations are not right, you're gone. Like, you were sitting here, but once you're gone, I'll still be thinking in my mind that could there be a different solution. So I used to be fearful and anxious a lot initially, and I tried to be detached through logic, that if I am detached enough, I'll be able to help you more. And I tried to be detached, but certainly it was not possible for me to be detached logically, that I shouldn't be affected because being affected is harming the process. Ultimately, I picked up the Gita, and Gita, it has a statement, and someone very clearly was explaining it on an Instagram reel, and he stated that attachment to God is the ultimate detachment. And I read the Gita for around 1.5 years, and I still listen to a lot of videos who are talking about Radha and Krishna. And now what happens to me is, someone comes to me, I am praying for them before even they come to sit in my seat. When they are talking to me, I am still praying to Radha and Krishna, Radha, Radha, Radha. And when they leave, I still feel fear that would they be alright, but I'm like, Radha Rani would take care of it. So once you leave things up to God, once you feel that it's not my abilities in which I trust, that I will heal the other person, I will solve their problem. I used to do that. This is us taking control in our own hands, that I will solve it. I am powerful. I know how to get things done. But this is ego. So this got broken one day, and now it's like anyone who comes to me, I'm like, it's not me who is solving their problem, it is God. So the anxiety and fear that I used to feel before they come and after they go, now I'm like, Radharani, or if you use different terms, God will take care of it. And that brings a certain state of surrender, detachment by itself, because once you're attached to God, you know that Almighty is all powerful to take care of anyone and everyone. So prayer has helped me with this a lot. So I thank God almost every day. Once I wake up, before sleeping, all the time, I'm just thankful that so many people have so many problems, and currently you are sitting here and life is comparatively easy, but life is very difficult for many people. And once you realize this, we are eternally grateful to God on a daily basis that okay, our health is fine. Oh, my parents are sending me to a good school. I don't have a lack of money, I can have a phone of my own. So we lack a lot of gratitude, and once we see misery and suffering in other people, it brings even more gratitude and gratefulness towards God that we are comparatively fine. So God is the answer.
Oh wow, sir. So God is the answer. Thank you for your time.